Hi guys, and welcome to another batch of your replays. I'm going to be featuring a couple of low-tier or mid-tier Russian tanks that are very, very good. I think a lot of players, myself included, grinded through them very, very quickly without actually appreciating just how good these tanks could be. And we're kicking off with the SFCGunny313 and the SU-85b. This is the Tier 4 Russian tank destroyer, and this thing is a monster. But because you grind through the SU-85b so quickly, I don't think, as I say, a lot of players give this thing the attention it deserves. It's a very, very good tank, but the reason it's a very, very good tank is not down to the tank itself, it's down to this gun, the 85mm. Now, this is the final gun, I believe, that Gunny is using on the tank, but you don't actually have to unlock this 85mm in order to move on to the Tier 5. The SU-85 at Tier 5 can be gotten to from the second gun, and as a result, people can use that, they can grind to the Tier 5 very quickly, and they basically ignore the final 85mm, and it's a very, very good gun. This is a Tier 4. It's got 130mm of penetration and 160 alpha damage, and on top of the alpha damage, it's got a very, very good rate of fire. Gunny is actually bottom tier in his Tier 4 SU-85b up against a bunch of Tier 6s here on the older version of Westfield. So we're just gonna go. And as I say, when I ground through this tank, I think I got through this tank in a couple of games, really. I don't think I spent more than maybe about half an hour in the SU-85b when I originally first started playing World of Tanks. And I regret it because it's a tank I'm probably going to rebuy at some stage. It's a tank. I actually don't know if I need to rebuy it for an ace tanker. But as you can see, it's fast, it's maneuverable, it's incredibly fast and maneuverable for a tank destroyer. It's on top of that speed, it's got that great gun, it's also got a fantastic camo rating, and that was an old man reaction shot. That looks like one of my replays. At least that felt like an old man. I don't know how old SFC Gunny is, but that definitely felt like an old man reaction shot. That looks like one of my replays so far. But Gunny is pushed quite far up. He's actually playing very, very aggressively. So he's maybe not making as much use of the camo on this tank as he should. The tank does have problems. Unfortunately, the tank has very poor gun depression, very poor gun elevation. So that can cause problems. But you can see how rapid firing it is, how accurate this gun is. It's just a great, great little gun on a great, great little tank. But as I say, it does have problems. This tank has absolutely no armor. It has no gun depression. A lot of the tanks it faces will be firing HE, so that will really, really mess you up. But there you go. Gunny's just got his first kill. He's already up to 849 damage as the bottom tier tank. I've got to keep stressing that. He's bottom tier. But he got spotted again, sets a KV-85 on fire, and he doesn't need to waste another shot. There's kill number 2. He's up to 1100 damage, he's up to 3000 W18 already, because he's shooting higher tier tanks. He's bottom tier. And he's using a Camonet and Binox, which are absolute musts on this tank. Just looking for shots, looking for possible targets. He did have an outline on the M6. He did have an outline, I think he's just realized that. Yep, he shoots away a building, and now he can start going to work here. He's double bushing the M6, so he probably is not going to get spotted. M6 is behind 2 layers of bushes. And Gunny is quite fortunate that RT isn't taking an interest in his position. He's been spotted in this bush at least twice. But Gunny's just sitting here, having problems penning the M6 now. Needs to get him in the side. No, he blows away some more cover, so he's got better side shots. More damage going in, another 160. And this M6, he's tracked. He's dead. And there's Gunny's third kill as a bottom tier tank. Don't know, that was a blind shot. Oh, Fury appears out of nowhere. One shot through the trees, or through the bushes, but that does get Gunny spotted. And because Gunny was readjusting, he's got quite a... I think it's quite a narrow gun arc here. He's taken a shot from the Fury, he's going to take a second shot here. And this is the downside. As I say, it's not a perfect tank. You don't get a lot of hit points. You only get 260 hit points. And when you consider most guns, most tier 3, 4, and 5 guns firing HE are going to do 260 damage. Yeah, you don't have a lot of hit points, don't have a lot of armor. Took 2 hits from the Fury, and he's already on 19 health. But this game is pretty much over, just 3 tanks left on the enemy team. Gunny has done 2,500 damage. He's on 7,555 WN8 at the moment. He's on 3 kills. And as I say, this tank just doesn't get enough love because it's just... I think it's just too quick to grind through. But it's an amazing little tank. There are some really, really good SU-85 replays on other people's channels on YouTube. This is a good replay too. I think a lot of people rush through the lower tiers, and because you rush through the lower tiers, I think you miss out on some classic tanks, some great tanks in the low to mid tiers. Now there are a lot of terrible tanks, but the SU-85 is not one of them, and I'll definitely be rebuying this tank at some stage. So that was an ace tanker for SFCGunny313, and he also picked up, I can never pronounce this, Halanun's medal, awarded for destroying 3 or more enemy vehicles with a tank destroyer when the targets are at least 2 tiers higher. He also picked up a high caliber as bottom tier, 1551 XP, very, very nice XP total for the ace, 2,532, so don't know if any of his blind shots went in, and 3 kills. Very, very tidy game, 26 shots fired, 19 hits, he actually penned 16, nice amount of damage, he spotted 1, damaged 5, destroyed 3, did 714 assistance damage, and finished up with 37,000 credits in a tier 4 with a premium account. Nice XP on a ×5 event. Wow, left him on 11,630. There you go. That one game probably would have gotten him to tier 5. But yeah, SU-85b, it's a very, very underrated tank. I think a lot of people don't take the time to appreciate just how good it is. And they just rush to get to tier 5 and rush to get to tier 6 and rush to get to tier 7. And I was one of those players. I rushed to the higher tiers when I first started playing World of Tanks. And I think if you do that, you miss out on some great tanks at lower tiers. But I think one of the other reasons you should never rush tanks is... one of the big deciding factors, or one of the really, really important factors in World of Tanks is your crews. And if you rush from one tank to another and you move your crew from one tank to another to get to the higher tiers, your crews never get to sit in the tank long enough to develop the crew skills that you need when you're playing higher tier tanks. I like to recommend when people find a tank they like playing in the mid tiers and it's making money and it's making credits, don't be in a hurry to get to the next tank. Stay in the tank if you enjoy playing that tank and you do well in that tank. Stay in that tank. Put on crew XP training and just play that tank for fun. Build up your crew skills, and then when you have enough credits, when you have enough experience on the crew, then feel free to continue moving on to the next tank. But SU-85b is definitely one of those tanks I recommend keeping. A lot of people ask me what the best, when they're new to World of Tanks, they ask me what the best line of tanks to go up with for a new player is, and my answer has always been... Russian heavy tanks. Russian heavy tanks are great, but another line I would recommend for new players are Russian TDs, because they're all good tanks. There are no really, really bad tanks anywhere along the Russian TD line, so good line to go down for new players. So thank you to SFCGunny313 for sending that replay in. Moving on, we've got a game in the T-34, another tank that is not featured on the channel very much. It's the Tier 5 Russian medium tank. This tank is very, very famous. It's was one of the most mass-produced tanks in history. I think 34,000 of these tanks were built from 1940 onward, but it's a little bit underwhelming, as I say. The armor is not great, the gun depression is terrible, but it's a Russian medium tank, so you got to get used to poor gun depression. We are here on Sacred Valley, like I say. Let's just get going. And again, this is kind of a tank that's underrated. The reason I wanted to talk about this one, not only is this a good game, but also this is another one of these tanks that people kind of just skip past and maybe don't give enough attention to. And once again, a lot of it comes down to the gun. On the SU-85b replay, A lot of people don't bother unlocking the final gun, and it's a very good final gun. And on this tank, it's the opposite, because a lot of people unlock the final gun, but they ignore this one. This is the 57mm. This is a ZIS, I believe. You've got 112 penetration, 85 damage. That's very good for a tier 5 medium tank. But the final gun has more penetration, more alpha damage. I believe it's a 75mm, or maybe a 76mm. But the final gun on the T-34 is not as good as this one, even though it gets more penetration, more alpha damage, because the aim time is worse, the DPM is worse, the accuracy is worse, and it's also a very heavy gun. It actually weighs almost twice as much as this gun. So basically, by mounting the final gun, I think you're adding about half a ton of weight to your tank. Now the T-34, it's quite a fast tank, but it's not maneuverable, so it's fast in a straight line. But, oh, first damage done for Selen. Selen is playing rather passively, but this gun can do that. This gun is accurate, fast aim time. You would not be able to do this with the final gun, and a lot of people unlock the final gun on the T-34 without realizing that the ZIS 57mm is actually a much better gun. But this gun is accurate enough, the aim time is good enough to actually snipe with, although Selen is missing out on some damage, some kills. There's a Lux dead. Actually, there are 2 Luxes on the enemy team. Didn't even realize that. Oh, they're platooned, okay. But while Selen moved up here to do some sniping, the north of the map is not looking so good. Enemy tanks appearing in the north. Lots of enemy tanks appearing in the north. Now, one thing, just one little hint here, is look where the wall up here is not damaged. It's not broken. And sometimes when tanks are hiding up there, they'll break the wall. So look for breaks in the wall and then shoot where the wall is broken, because sometimes there were tanks hidden there. But the wall wasn't broken there, so Selen actually, because I've seen the final results, didn't actually get any blind shot damage in there. But because Selen has been keeping an eye on the mini-map, I'm not sure, Selen, I'm not sure if you're a he or a she. But, Selen, if I do call you a he, I apologize. Or if I call you a she and you're a he, I apologize. But Selen was keeping an eye on the minimap, was aware the north had collapsed. Now, you could argue that maybe Selen could have moved sooner. She could have moved sooner, or he could have moved sooner. But it doesn't matter. They are reacting to the threat. Amadorino picks up a kill in his T-25. Now these, again, I want to point out, these are tier 5 tanks in a tier 6 game. So, Selen gets a little bit more damage done. Maybe not using the maneuverability and speed of this tank to its best. But the replay does get a little bit more exciting towards the end. So, unfortunately her platoon mate goes down. And now it's a question of what to do. The threat from the north has been taken out. Her team are now advancing along the 1-2 lines. And Selen, there you go, 6 cents. Selen had just an inkling that maybe something was coming along the JK lines. Moves just in time to intercept a Lux. Unfortunately, missing a few shots, but you can see the rate of fire on this gun. And Selen is auto-aiming, gets 1 shot in, finishes off the Lux, so there's kill number 1. So, 3 RT on the enemy team. Selen gets out of the way just as a shot lands in front of her tank. So what is going to happen now? It's a 50-50 game. It's looking a little bit comfortable. Selen's team are winning. Team are advancing. 3 RT on the enemy team, but there are 2 very dangerous tank destroyers, a good Cromwell player, and 3 RT. So this is a classic mistake, even though the team are moving forward. What's actually going to happen is the team are going to move into the enemy spawn 1 by 1. And you never ever want to go in a 1 by 1 situation. You're going to allow the enemy team to knock you off 1 by 1. They're going to be focus firing the first tank that's spotted. And Cromwell appears, Archer appears. Now Selen gets a shot into the archer. 1, 2, takes out the archer, but not before the Hellcat has been taken out. So now Cromwell appears, and remember there's still 3 arties, so this is actually quite good. Selen moves back. And someone puts a big shot into the Cromwell. Cromwell's finished up by the T-34-85. So Panzer SFL briefly appeared. RT is raining in. Oh, apparently the Cromwell isn't happy. Lots and lots of RT hate. And to be honest, I've been guilty of some RT hate in my games recently. I got reduced to a 1 hit point in not 1 but 2 games last night. I was having good games. Full health tank, got hit. In 1 game I got hit for 1199 damage, left me on 1 hit point. And in another game I got hit for 599 damage and left on 1 hit point. Multiple crew, multiple modules damaged. Yeah, RT, you could be annoying as heck, but you know you are. You know it. That's why you play RT, isn't it? You guys are all real-life trolls. But Selen did spot the PCSFL 4 down here, and is going to try and intercept. There you go. Spots it, gets 1 shot in. Now this is a dangerous tank. Selen can't really move up that slope because she's not going to have the gun depression to take him out. But there you go. Pidham's in his M440 or M41. Takes out the PZ SFL, and then a BDR puts a big shot in. So once again, the big problem is lower tier tanks, or when you're playing lower tier tanks, is you just don't have hit points to be as competitive as you'd like. So even though Selen has only taken 1 hit in this entire game, Selen has lost half her hit points. She's down to 222. T1 Heavy, in the meantime, is moving through enemy spawn and has not spotted any RT. The KV-1S that was north was taken out. So we know there's a BDR sitting on the ridge. Now this is a little bit, I don't know, maybe could have been done better. Let me just put it that way. You see, the BDR is up on the hill. The BDR has more than enough penetration to pen even the front of Selen's tank. So by reversing away, yes, you're showing your strongest armor to the BDR. There is more chance of a bounce, but I would say not much more of a chance. So if you're trying to escape, you'd probably be better off just turning your tank around and running at top speed. But I suppose it really depends on the tank you're in. But in this particular situation, T-34, even though it's got nicely sloped armor, it's not that great, especially when you're not top tier. But Selen gets away with it, and rather than going and trying to engage that BDR, which would be a losing battle, BDR only needs to hit Selen once in order to end the game. Selen is going to be doing some flanking. T-34 is a medium tank after all. It's built for flanking. So Selen is going to be traveling up the JK lines, and it's getting a little bit tense now. The game was looking comfortable, now it's a 50-50, and really, in this situation, it can go either way. T1 Heavy is still sitting near enemy spawn. I don't know what's happening over there. Possibly he's got 6th sense, possibly he's spotted. He doesn't want to drive around a corner and run into that BDR or run into RT. And all Selen knows right now is that there's a birch gun up in D9, 2 RT that haven't been spotted yet, and a BDR that was last spotted at G9. So birch gun, looks as if the birch gun actually rushed to the T1 Heavy and shotgunned him in the face, and now things are actually looking even worse. So it's 2 RT and Selen versus 3 RT and a BDR. We know that the BDR was last spotted up here, so Selen needs to be careful. Ah, T1 Heavy was AFK. T1 Heavy was AFK. It happens. In chat he's saying, crap, got a phone call from work. That might have explained things. Oh, and instead of running into the BDR, Selen runs into an M44. There's that poor gun depression. But Selen now knows where the M44 is, and Piddums, her platoon mate, is still alive, and who's going to get the M44? There's still two other RT. We know the M44 is fired, but the Birch gun hasn't. The M37 on the enemy team hasn't. M44 is being kept lit up. Selen is keeping him spotted. Going for shots on the move. And the M44 misses again. So, again, the BDR was last spotted where the M44 is. So if you're asking yourself why hasn't Selen rushed in or taken out the M44, it's because the BDR was last spotted right where the M44 was last spotted. And Selen is a one-hit kill, so this is a lot more tricky or a lot more dangerous than it looks. Selen is the only tank. Selen is spotting for her RT, but her RT have got their own problems. BDR is no longer on the hill. And the BDR has flanked around, and he's taken out Piddums. So once again, enemy RT still blind firing. But Selen is moving back. SU-8 needs to spot the BDR, and does. And I probably would have switched to premium ammo here, but first shot by Selen hits the rushing the shot, panicking a little bit. Hits and does no damage. Tracks the BDR and finishes him off. Okay, so, wow. Alright, I probably would have switched to premium ammo right there. Selen didn't, but got away with it. So, 3 RT left on the enemy team. And again, even a splash will kill her. Or him. Again, I apologize, not quite sure which. But M44 appears. Selen is moving back and forward. Enemy RT raining all around. And once again, RT misses. M44 is desperately reloading. I wouldn't sit in front of him. I would have kept going. And Selen gets very, very lucky. Enemy RT miss again. Again, if you're facing RT, don't stop in front of RT. It's a mistake I make occasionally, and I always hate myself for doing it. Just rush past RT, try and get to his side and rear. It's as dangerous as a TD, but Selen has moved in, found the Birch gun. Birch gun misses, RT raining all around. Where's the M37? No idea. But auto-aiming, you can see the rate of fire. This is where the rate of fire of this gun is going to be so much better than the final 76mm. Selen's able to take out this cover. Nice ammo rack on low health to take out the Birch gun. Speedy again, okay. So that takes Selen93 up to 5 kills. So just going for kill number 6, looking for Top Gun. She's also taken out 2 RT, so potential Pascucci's medal on the line here. So where are you, Mr. M37? And there we go. She's found the M37 again, auto-aiming, shooting on the move, and again sitting in front of RT. I don't think it's a good idea. But RT misses. Selen takes him out for kill number 6. There's Top Gun. But Selen93 picked up an ace tanker for that game, picked up a Pascucci's medal, picked up a Top Gun, finished top on XP with 1059, 1512 damage done in a tier 6 game in a tier 5 tank, and picked up a Top Gun to boot. 64 shots fired, only managed to land 25, but of the 25 Selen landed, 22 of them were penetration, so the penetration on the gun is quite good for a tier 5. She spotted 3, damaged 9, destroyed 6, did 458 assistance damage and 25 base defense points. 35,000 credits with a premium account. You can see ammo costs were low, repair costs were low. It's a pretty decent money maker for a mid-tier tank. 1588 XP, no ×2, but there was some sort of bonus thrown in. Left Selen on 1985 XP, but T-34, SU-85b, 2 tanks I haven't featured very much on the channel. I want to thank Gunny and Selen for sending those in. And the message from today's video is, don't be in a hurry to get to the higher tiers. There are lots and lots of great tanks at low tier or mid tier. And when you find a tank that you do well in, and when you find a tank that you enjoy playing, don't be in a rush to sell it and move on, because you're doing exactly the same thing at tier 10 as you're going to be doing at tier 2 or tier 3. You're just going to be doing it in bigger tanks with more hit points. If you rush to get constantly to the next tank, your crew are never going to sit down and spend enough time in a tank to be able to develop crew skills, and crew skills are very, very important at higher tier. Again, I want to thank Gunny and Selen for sending those replays in. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.